Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world.
Hi, my name is Palle Bo. I've been doing this podcast for a while now, and I can see that more and more new listeners are joining me every week. So I thought I'd give you a special episode introducing myself, explaining who I am, where I come from, and why I decided to do what I do.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
I was born in Randers, Denmark in 1964 and lived in that area all my life. My education was graphic design, and I worked a few years in advertising agencies making newspaper ad and brochures, but my true passion and my career was in radio. I've done just about anything in the radio business. I co-founded a group of radio stations, and I'm still to this day a co-owner of almost 20 radio stations. I've been a host, a sales manager, producer, station manager. I even had a few years where I did nothing but telephone pranks on the radio. This was syndicated on 25 radio stations throughout Denmark and was also picked up by Denmark's radio as a funny bit on the P3 morning show. In 2007, I started my own production company called Radio Guru, where I produce radio advertising mainly for Danish clients, but I also do branded podcasts. Last year, I produced 2 seasons of the Lego Technique podcast, and then I teach how to write and produce better radio advertising, partly based on a book that I wrote about the topic in 2016. With my production company, I was the most award-winning in Denmark when it came to radio commercials from 2010 to 15. I won awards for Best Radio Commercial of the Year in Denmark 6 times, and I was also a finalist at the Cannes Lions. So I was at the top of my career and lived a great life in Denmark with a beautiful house in the countryside and a nice car when I went on a trip that completely changed my life. I lived in this rural part of Denmark all my life, had a good thing going. I had potential to grow my company and make a lot of money. But then I heard somebody say, when it's not broken, consider breaking it. I really like that phrase. So in the beginning of 2013, I decided to go on a 2-month trip to Cape Town to see what it was like to spend a little time outside of my home country. And maybe see if I liked the place enough that I would move there in a few years after my daughters had grown up and moved out of the house. And maybe start a radio career down there. Spending time in Cape Town made me realize that I could just as easily run my company there as if I was in my house in Randers, Denmark. That I actually could work anywhere just as long as I had my computer and some internet. And I felt more inspired being in a different location. The people, the sounds, the food, the light, the good weather, and the different culture sort of opened my senses and actually made me more creative. So when I came back to Denmark, I thought to myself that even though Cape Town is wonderful and will always have a special place in my heart, there are so many other places in the world that I'd never been to and always wanted to see. So I put a world map on the wall in my kitchen, and every time I took a cup of coffee, I worked out of my house at the time, I took a red pen and made a dot on the map of places I wanted to go. Soon I had a lot of dots on the map. I drink a lot of coffee. And then I started connecting the dots to a journey around the world. Without even realizing it, I was starting to build my plan to become a full-time traveler and a digital nomad. I remember sharing this decision with a friend of mine. He's a guy that built a big company and made millions, and at the point he just bought a Jaguar. He said, "No, Palle, don't go now. Your company is really taking off. Now you should cash in and make a lot of money. Then you can always travel when you retire." But I thought that doing this, I would become rich in so many other ways. Rich in memories and laughter lines, and for me that's more important than a Jaguar. And who knows if I even will be able to travel when I reach retirement age. And life is really fragile. In 2015, I lost both my parents within a 2-month period, and that made my decision to do this even stronger. So I sold my house and my car and all my furniture, and in the summer of 2016, when my youngest daughter graduated and moved out of the house, I waved goodbye and took off. Since then, I've been to 63 countries on this trip alone. I've slept in more than 200 different beds, and I have no idea how many times I've gone through security in an airport and buckled my seatbelt in a plane. First, I thought I would travel for a year and a half. I even called my project Around the World in 80 weeks. But soon it was 2 years, and then 4, and now I'm saying that I will keep traveling until one of my daughters start producing grandchildren for me. And that might be in 10-15 years. I even say that I'm on a quest to visit every country in the world. I know for sure that once I stop traveling at some point, I'll never get the big house again. My life is different now. I'll just get a small place because I really have the travel bug, and I think getting a home base again would only make me slow down a bit. That trip to Cape Town really changed my life. I really enjoy this lifestyle, but it's not without challenges. I've had times where I've been totally out of my comfort zone, and I've been sick to a point where I was totally alone in Ethiopia and thought that I only had a few months more to live. But at no point I've second-guessed my decision. The episodes in my podcast was recorded around a year ago when I was in Africa. Right now I'm in Buenos Aires in Argentina. The thing is that I try to do my best to put out an episode every week, and since I record all the time, and every week much more than I can squeeze into one episode, I've fallen more and more behind. I could put out more episodes every week, but I don't know if you have time to listen to that much. Also, I don't know if I have time to edit that much. You see, I spent maybe 1 or 2 days editing one single episode, and also I have to see more stuff where I am right now, record more stories, and work on other projects in my production company. But don't worry, it will all get there eventually, and I can't wait to share all the stuff I recorded in the Gambia, Southern Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Ethiopia, South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Mozambique, Nomad Cruise 6 from Malaga to Athens, Albania, Kosovo, Bosnia, Montenegro, Croatia, Slovenia, the Netherlands, Poland, Belarus, Czech Republic, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, then back to Montreal and Toronto in Canada, down to upstate New York, then Texas, Mexico, Florida, then crossing the Atlantic, only to sail back on Nomad Cruise 7 from Barcelona to Brazil via Cape Verde, and then in Brazil, Porto de Galinhas, Rio de Janeiro, Paraty, Sao Paulo, Iguazu Falls, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Buenos Aires, where I am right now. Soon I'll go to Bolivia, Chile, and Peru, and much, much more. So stay subscribed. Monday morning we'll be back in Africa, continuing the journey down to Dakar in Senegal. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.